Welcome to day 22, and here we are talking about the AWS tutorial and specific to the DevOps journey. In this particular video, we will be talking about the Transit Gateway and the use case of the Transit Gateway. Before this video, we had covered the AWS VPC peering, where we talked about how to establish the private communication between two VPC. And till now, we have covered the S3 to EC2 connection, the VPC peering, the route table, security group, load balancer, EC2 service, the auto scaling group, launch template, and so on. Correct. In this particular video, we are going to talk about this transit gateway. So before coming to this picture, let's understand the theory part of the transit gateway. Sorry. So let's start from here. Just yeah, this one. So transit gateway is a network transit hub used to interconnect virtual private clouds and on-premise networks. The following are the key concepts for transit gateway: attachments, transit gateway maximum transmission unit. These are the theory parts, and we do the route propagation and all these stuffs. Now let's move to the demo itself. The diagram itself, and then we will move to the AWS console to do the demo. So if we do have this VPC peering, we were able to connect the two VPC with each other, correct? When we were trying to do this, we were able to do the same things. Now, when you have to establish the communication between multiple VPC, just suppose that I do have four number of VPC here. Just let's consider that I do have four VPC, correct? And these VPCs are A, B, C, and D. So how many connection you need to establish when talking about the VPC peering? So for that you have to do the one-to-one mapping, correct? So for one-to-one mapping you have to do A to A to B. Then you will be doing the connection between A to C, then A to D, three connection. Then you have to establish the connection from B to C, then B to D. Then you have to establish one more connection, that will be C to D. So total becomes n star n minus 1 by 2. That becomes your formula to do the VPC to have the VPC peering connection. N star n minus 2. That means if we do have the 4 number of VPC, that becomes your 4 star 4 minus 1 divided by 2. That means 4 into 1.5, that becomes your 6. So to establish the communication between 4 VPC, you have to make the 6 connection. While this becomes much complex, your transit gateway helps here. In the transit gateway, you have to just create one transit gateway hub and multiple attachments. So whenever you have to make the connection between the VPC, you will just create one attachment between the VPC and the transit gateway, and in the similar way for the other VPCs as well. And that will this transit gateway hub will act as a hub point where the communication will happen. So every communication between the VPCs will happen through this transit gateway attachment to the transit gateway hub and to the second transit gateway attachment that will pass the network to the second VPC, and so on for the third VPC or the multiple VPC as well. Correct. So what we will do, we will create these three VPC and we will launch two public subnet. In these two VPC, we will launch two public EC2 machines, and in the third VPC, we will launch one private subnet and private EC2 machine as well. And the use case we will be covering, we will try to see the message on these two public EC2 instances, and then from the first public EC2 we will make the connection into the third VPC, which is having the private EC2 machine. Correct. So let's see this concept, and let's move to the AWS console directly. So what I have covered to save the time, I have just created this particular first VPC. I have created this public subnet and the internet gateway, route table, and public EC2 instance. This one I have covered to save the time. Rest of these two things I will be covering right now. So let's see directly. Here I have already created VPC1 and I have also launched the public EC2 VPC1, and this one is running. What is there on the message? This is the public EC2 machine is having the message, welcome to VPC1 public EC2 instance. So till now this part is covered, the first one. Let's create for the second and third. So let me launch one more VPC here, that will be called as VPC2. VPC2, and then CIDR for this one will be 11.0.0/16. Let's click on the create VPC. Then I have to create the subnet as well. Here we are creating the public subnet because I have to launch public EC2 machine as well for the second. So I will be creating one public subnet in the VPC2. This one I will be calling as public subnet VPC2. Preference I will give the availability zone AP South 1A and the CIDR once again 11.0 1.0 slash 6 slash 24, so that 256 IP address will be there. So your second subnet is created. For the second VPC we will require this internet gateway as well because we have to launch the public subnet. So we will be creating this internet gateway as well. Let me create the internet gateway here for the second VPC. So I will be just calling it as IGW VPC2. Right. Let's create this, and we will have to attach this as well with the VPC as per the diagram as well. This internet gateway needs to be associated with the VPC. So let me associate this with to the VPC. Attach to VPC, and which VPC? VPC2. Attach internet gateway. That's done. Now let's move to the route table. Here I need to create one route table as well. So this one I will be calling it public route VPC2, and the VPC I will be selecting one VPC2 here. Create route table. Now let's do the subnet association. Edit subnet. You will be selecting public subnet VPC2. Save association. Done. And the routes you will be passing this internet gateway here as well because I have to launch this public EC2 machine. Let me select this 00. So the internet gateway and the IGW VPC2. Save changes. So your EC2 machine can be here launched in the public subnet. That will be your public EC2 machine. So let's launch the second EC2 machine as well. So let me click on the launch instance, and here I will be launching public EC2 in VPC2. T2.micro, the same configuration. If you are not aware how to launch your VPC, how to launch your EC2 machine, you can watch out the other videos which are available on the channel. Here I am just going a bit fast to save the time. So I am just giving the public EC2 VPC2, then T2.micro. Keep here I am just giving the public one for which I do have the content on the notepad so that I can use it in our own pace. So I will be launching this. In the network settings, let me click on this, and let's select the VPC2. Public subnet VPC2, that is by default because we do have only one VPC subnet here. Auto assign public IP, let me do the enable, and then security group, let me click on the create, and I will be just creating one more security group here. That one I will be calling it public SG EC2 VPC2. That's just a random name, and here I will be passing the same. Let me just do the copy and paste. Rule here I will be allowing port 80 as well, custom TCP and port 80 because I have to use the user data. Then let's move to the, I hope I enabled this auto assign public IP. Yes, advanced details, and here I will be passing the user data as well. And to paste the user data, I will be going to the this PPT. Where is 38? Yes. So let me just copy this particular script. Command C. Let's move here and just paste it. Here I'll be just typing welcome to VPC2. So this VPC2 public EC2 instance. That will be my message when I will be clicking on this public IP address of this EC2 machine. And I hope it's enabled. Yes, it's enabled. Let's click on the launch instance, and it should be launched. Okay, the CIDR I had to add, so let me add this 00. Click on the launch, and your second EC2 is being launched. So that will be done anyway, correct. Now let me launch the third VPC and the private subnet and private EC2 machine as well. So let me click on the VPC here. Let me click create VPC only, and here I will be launching the VPC 3 as well. Then 12.0.0.0/16 create VPC, then subnet, and here I will be creating one private subnet. So VPC 3, and this one will be called as private subnet, and the name will be VPC 3 as well, just to make it readable. Availability zone AP South 1A, and the CIDR for the subnet will 12.0 1.0/24. That's it. Create subnet, and your subnet is created. Now let's create one route table here as well. Create route table, and the route table name will be private route VPC 3. Select the VPC, so VPC 3 is selected. Create route table. Here we are not creating internet gateway because I have to launch this private subnet only and the private EC2 machine. So there is no use of internet gateway. So now let's do the subnet association. Edit subnet, and here private subnet VPC 3 is there. Save association, that is done. Now we are okay to launch our third EC2 instance as well. So let me launch the third EC2 instance. This one I will be calling as private EC2 VPC 3. So let's select the t2.micro, and the same key pair I will be using. So just let me select this VPC the public key pair and VPC 3 from here. Private subnet, because we do have only one subnet, that's why it's coming as a private subnet VPC 3, and there is no use of enabling public IP because we are launching it in a private subnet. So let me create one security group now, and this one I will be calling it private SG EC2 VPC 3. The same name I will be just copy and just do the paste here. Port I don't have to allow anything other than this SSH because I will be just doing the connection from first EC2 to the third EC2 in the one which is private one. So let me go to launch instance, and your instance is launched. So let me just refresh here. Let's see the message which is on the second VPC, and I will be just clicking on the open address. I will do the port 80 here, and then let me remove this S because we do have the path on HTTP, and you will see that welcome to VPC2 public EC2 instance. So what is there on the message for the first EC2, which is in the public subnet, that is having the message welcome to VPC1 public EC2 instance, and the EC2 which is in the second VPC, that is having the message welcome to VPC2 public EC2 instance. Correct. These are the two messages. For the third one, we are launching the private EC2 machine, so it will not be having any public IP address even. So let's see for that as well. This one does not have any public IP address. Correct. Now, if you want to do the curl between these two EC2 machines from the first to the second, curl from the private IP address, you will not be able to do. Correct. So let's do connect this public EC2 first. So I will be connecting this public EC2, the first one, from the console itself. Public EC2 VPC1. So let's click on the connect, and here I will be just clicking on the connect, and your EC2 should be connected. Let me open the other instances as well here. Let me click on the instances, and we have this public EC2 VPC2. What I am trying to do here, let me do the sudo su as well, and from here I just want to do the curl for the private IP of the second VPC EC2, the public EC2 which is in the VPC2. So I will be just doing the curl of this message. What should be the message over there? This message welcome to VPC2 public EC2 instance, this one should be printed. So what I'm trying to make the connection from the first public EC2 to the second EC2, and through the private IP address, not from the public IP address. So let's try to do the same thing. I just copied this private IPv4 address of the second EC2 which is in the second VPC. Let's do the curl here. Curl, and now you can see that you are not able to see any message. It's not making the connection. So, and for the same in the similar way, if I do the control C here, if I want to make the connection between the first EC2 to the third EC2, the private public EC2 which is in the VPC1 to the private EC2 which is in the third VPC, even you will not be able to have the connection between these two as well. Correct. Let's try doing this same thing once again. So for that, what is required, I will have to pass the PAM key which is associated with this public EC2 on this public server, and then we should be able, if it is available, correct, then we should be able, but we will not be. So let's try to create this PAM key on this public server, and we will try to establish the connection. So let me do the vi here, vi public.pam, and here I will be just pasting the content. Let me just copy here, command C, let me move here, command V, then let me do the save, wq and save. Let me give the permission chmod 400 and the file name public.pem, and let's try making the connection ssh-i, then the key public issue2 sorry public.pem, then issue2 hyphen user and the at the rate, and then the IP address. The let me open this the private issue2 VPC3. Let's try making the connection. He will not be able to do even this that thing as well. So neither we are able to do the connection between these two public issue2 using the private IP address, and now we are able to do the connection from public issue2 to the private issue2 which is in the another VPC as well. So both the things are not allowed as of now. So let me do the control C here and just break the connection. What is left here and why it is not working? Because there is no communication between all these three. So we will have to create one transit gateway, then we will be creating transit gateway attachment with all these three VPC, and then we will be modifying the route tables to establish the communication between these three, and then we will be able to do the same thing. So let me create one transit gateway and these three transit gateway attachments. Let's move to the VPC console, and here I will be creating one transit gateway. Let's click create that. Let's just wait for a few seconds. The time your console will be already. Yes. So let me call as demo tgw description demo, and configure the transit gateway. Let's go with the default one, all the default configuration. Transit gateway CIDR blocks, all these are options. Let me click on the create transit gateway. Your tgw is in pending state. In few minutes it will be available to use. Correct. So meanwhile, let me create the transit gateway attachments as well. So let me create this transit gateway attachments. Create transit gateway attachment, and this one I will be calling as tgw VPC1 transit gateway ID. So we need to wait for the moment this transit gateway will be available. So let's wait for a few seconds. The moment your transit gateway will be available, we will be able to use it. Till that time we will have to wait. So let's understand the concept till the time. So transit gateway attachment will be created, then we will be modifying this route table, and we will be giving the CIDR of these two VPC in this first route table. That route table will tell that you will be able to communicate with these two VPC, and similarly we will do for the other two VPC route table as well. We will pass the CIDR and this transit gateway attachment, and that will establish the communication between all these three VPC. So let's refresh here, and now it is available. Transit gateway attachment transit gateway is available. Let's move here, select the transit gateway. Let me refresh here, and let me call it tgw VPC1 attachment. Even the attachment name should be there. Transit gateway ID demo tgw VPC. Yes, it is VPC only. Which VPC? I want to launch it for VPC1. tgw VPC1 attachment VPC1. Let's create the transit gateway attachment. Similarly, let's do for other as well. So tgw VPC2 attachment. Let's select the transit gateway ID. Let's select the VPC2. And why we are getting only one subnet ID and availability zone? Because we do have only one subnet which is launched in this VPC. If you launch the another subnets as well, you will be able to see the another availability zones as well. So let's click on the create transit gateway, and here VPC1 VPC2 is there. Let me create for the VPC3 as well. tgw VPC3 attachment. Transit gateway ID demo tgw VPC ID VPC3. Let's click on the create transit gateway. So transit gateway attachments we have created, transit gateway we have created. Now what is left? We have to configure this communication. So we have to change the route tables. Sorry, we have to edit the route tables now. So all these are pendings. Sorry, one is available and the rest of these two are as well. These are in the process. So let me go to the route table now, and here we will do the modification in the route tables. So let me first modify this public route VPC1 only. So let me click on the edit routes. Here I will be adding the CIDR of the other VPC. So for other VPC we created 10.0 and then 11.0, 12.0. So I'll be just passing these two CIDRs in the first route table. So I'll be just copying this content. Let's do the modification here only 11.0 and then use this, and the transit gateway I will be selecting over here, transit gateway VPC 1 attachment, this one. And then we have to add the route for 12.0 as well. Sorry, let me just copy the content only, and here I will be just modifying to the 12.0 and then transit gateway once again TGW VPC 1 attachment. So what we are telling that for this VPC 1 it can go up to the 11.0, 12.0. That means whatever the request will be made from the VPC 1, correct, which is having the 10.0 CIDR, it can go up to the 11.0 and 12.0. That's what we are trying to tell here, correct. So let me just save it, save changes. This one is done. Let's go for the second route table and third route table as well. Let me click on the edit routes, click on the add route, and just do the command V and use. Let's select the transit gateway once again, TGW VPC2 attachment, and then let's add for the third as well. So here 11.0 is the first VPC destination itself. So here I will need to add the 12.0 and 10.0 because it's VPC is having the destination at J11, correct? 10.0, 11.0 and 12.0. These are the three CIDR for us. So let me do the modification. Let me select the transit gateway here and the TGW VPC2 attachment. Let's save the changes. Let's modify the third route table as well. And here I'll be passing the edit routes. Click on the add route. And here as well I will just passing the 10.0, then transit gateway and the TGW VPC3 attachment. Let's pass the same, and here I'll be passing the 11.0 now. If you want to make the communication between all these three, that's why I'm doing for all the VPC here. If you want to make a one-to-one, you can do the same things. So 11.0 is there, 10.0 is also there, 12.0 is already the CIDR of this VPC. Let me save these changes as well. Now we have created the attachments, we have modified the route table as well. Now we should be able to do the same thing. So what we tried first, we tried to do the curl on this public EC2 machine using the IP address of the second EC2, correct, the private IP address of this second EC2. Let's try to do the same thing here. Now let me do the curl. You can see the message now. Initially when we did the curl 11.01241, which is the private IP address of the second EC2 machine. Let me open this EC2 as well. I think this is the one, no. So let me open this public EC2 VPC2. You can see 11.01241. That is the private IP address of the second EC2, which is the part of VPC2. But now you are able to see the message, welcome to VPC2 public EC2 instance. Similarly, if you want to establish the communication from first EC2, which is in the VPC1, to the third EC2, which is in the VPC3, which is the private one, you can now do the connection. So let me do the try. Let me try doing this SSH as well. You can see now you are able to do the connection as well. You have moved to 12.0.1.221. That is the IP address, the private IP address of your third EC2 machine, which is the part of VPC3. So with the help of this transit gateway attachment and the transit gateway, now you are able to make the communication between the multiple VPCs, correct. So this way the VPC peering and VPC the transit gateway concept helps you to make the communication between the multiple VPC, while the VPC peering becomes more complex if you are having more than two VPC, correct. Then transit gateway gives you the solution for that. It makes you your life easier to make the communication between multiple VPC. So that's what I wanted to cover in this particular video, in this demo, and stay tuned for the other contents which will be available on the channel moving forward. So till the time, thank you, bye bye.